You want to buy a house but don't have any money? There's an easy fix to that. Buy no money down. If you're new to the channel, I'm Gabriel Wiseman, real estate broker. I've been doing this for over 10 years, and I'm here to give you any information, help you find out about Greater Montreal area, and find out what you need to know about real estate. So before looking into the several ways you could buy no money down, one good thing and important thing to know is why we should use other people's money, because this is what we're going to be doing if we're putting 0% down and using 100% of someone else's money to buy a house. Why you want to use other people's money is to get more return on your investment. Okay, so we've got the 4 cases. I'm going to show you here. So if you put 100% cash down, you put 20% cash down, 5%, and 0%, the object of today's video. So if 100%, you're going to say put $1 million, and over 1 year, let's say the property goes up 10%. So we're going to use the same 10%. The market went up 10% that year, just for simple numbers. Usually we're going to be looking closer at 3%. Now let's use 10. So your $1 million investment here is going up to 10%, which is 1.1 million. Very simple. Now we look at case 2. You're going to put down only 20% of $1 million, which is 200,000. And that one goes up 10%. Now your 1.1 million is going from 200,000. When you sell the 1.1 million at the end, you went up by 50% because you went up to 300,000. So you're way higher. Now you end up with 300,000 because once you sold the property, you paid off your expenses, your mortgage, all of that. You're left with $100,000 more. That's 50% increase. 50% increase. Here was 10% increase. Now this one here, 5% down. So you're only putting 50K down. Very low. But this one, you're going up by 100,000 still, because that net gain at the end of the day, whether you buy with 5% down or 100% down, it's still the same increase. So you go from 50K all the way up 100,000 once again. So that's 200%. Why 200%? Because you're left here with 150K. Now, the last scenario, 0% down. You can see how your increase is exponential, 10 to 50 to 200. Now with this 0% down, you're at 0. You're going up here. The percentage increase is not even calculable, it's infinite. So you get $100,000 from 0 to 100,000. So you could see why the less money you put down, the better it is, and that is a lever that you want to use in real estate to make more money. So now if you look at expenses, that's not something that you just look over. It's very important. You're going to have more expenses. The closer you get to here, the more your expenses will be. So now if you go here, you're going to have close to 0 expenses. You're going to have your welcome tax, for example. Welcome tax is going to cost you, but they're all going to cost you. The notary, the closing costs in general, they're going to cost you. Now if you avoid the closing costs, we don't look at the closing costs because it's all going to be the same. With this one, you're going to have the mortgage. With this one, you're going to have the mortgage as well as CMHC fee. Now you're going to tell me CMHC fee doesn't apply. You can't get a property with CMHC at $1 million. You can at $999,999.99. So you'll be fine. You just take off a penny off the purchase price. Now this one, there's not going to be a mortgage necessarily. It's no down payment. What are you going to have? It might be an investor. It might be, so depending on what you get, you could assume that easily you're going to be paying 8% per year or more. So you can see the expenses are close to 0 with this one. Close to about 30,000 with case 2, close to about 48,000 on case 3, and assuming 8% on your private loan, it would be 80,000 on this one. So it really depends on your expenses, but even with those expenses, your return on investment will still be higher with the lower down payment.
I have a question about the last one.
Sure.
So you said the expenses will be 80,000.
Exactly.
And we are earning 100,000.
Exactly.
So that means it's just 20,000 on top.
Exactly. So you get 20,000, you put zero down. So your return on investment is still a gazillion percent, right? Because zero to whatever is over. So yes, you made 20,000 on that one, on that deal.
Okay, but isn't it demotivating?
Why would it be demotivating? You went from zero to $20,000. That's a big gain. So someone who's not starting, who already has a lot, that wants to make much more, I understand he might want to make more. He has $1 million, he invests it. But instead, if he has $1 million, he puts 5% down on 20 deals, he could make a lot more than one deal. So this person, let's say he did 10 deals that year. Well, if he did 10 deals, that's 200,000. So he doesn't have to do necessarily one. It's better off to start off with one, you go little by little. But someone with a lot of experience, he could get to 0% deals and do one per month, twice per month, and go from there. If you want to find out ways on how to buy a property with no money down, you want to find out a simple, complex, difficult, easy way of buying that property, stay on the channel. Stop, don't scroll. Stop it. It's just going to waste time for you. Stay here if you want to learn. All right, so we've seen why you should be using other people's money. Let's see how. So before getting into the 5 methods that I've found out that we could do here in Canada legally, because mortgage fraud is not something you want to be doing, I've researched online. I've found so much information, American information. A lot of them are illegal actually here that we cannot use in Canada. And there's actually a few ways that we can use here that are going to be able to help you buy with no money down. So the first one, that's going to be getting a loan. You're going to be able to use credit card. You could use a personal loan. You could use a line of credit. There's a few ways. It could be a loan from family. It could be a loan from the bank. There's a few ways to get that. It's my least favorite of the 5 options, but it is an option to buy. Now, to do that, it is very risky because you're paying 19% on your credit card, 12% if you're lucky. That's a lot of money. So you need to be making sure that you're getting more return in the end on your real estate investment if you're going to be using something like that. Line of credit, that could be much lower. A loan from family member, maybe not the best for personal relationships, but it is a possibility, and maybe the interest rate is available to you and much lower. Now for the second option, this is not my favorite, it's a balance of sale. There's a few things that need to be true for this to be able to happen legally. Now, the first thing is that the owner has to have no mortgage on the property because no bank will accept the terms, so no mortgage on the property. That's one you got to remember. Now, the other part that's going to be difficult to find, this is a very difficult one to find, so why it's not my favorite, is going to be the seller. You have to find that seller, no mortgage on it. Now, that seller, you found him. Why is he going to accept your terms and conditions? Well, you usually have to give him an incentive. So that could be paying a bit more for the property. So let's say a $500,000 property, you're paying $550,000. It might not be the best investment, but it might work for you. You might find a way to make this deal work, whether it be value add after, doing some renovations and renting it out. It depends on the type of property, but balance of sale is a possibility. So the main issue with it is that it's hard to find, but if you could find it, you could negotiate those terms with the seller. He agrees to it, you could find a balance of sale, so no money down. So now for point number 3, we're going to be looking at a partner with the money. So usually it's going to be an exchange of services. You're going to be the one finding the deal, and the other person is going to be the one providing the money. So if he's providing the money, he's happy because you found a deal for him. He doesn't have time. He's already very busy, and you have the time, but you just don't have the money. So that is a really good mix of resources. So that is a really nice one. This is one of the top ones you could use. Personally, I prefer it than the last 2. The next and 4th option, this is one of my favorites, one of the most creative, but also very difficult to find because you need to have that right scenario, is finding a friend who's looking to sell. So let's say you have a couple, they're splitting. Your friend is Mr. Charles, and he's with Chelsea. They're splitting, unfortunately. Chelsea wants to sell. He doesn't mind selling or keeping it. You could buy half of her part. In that case, you can get no money down because you're both going to qualify for the financing. He's going to qualify for the mortgage he already has if he has a mortgage. and you're going to be buying her part in this case, in this example. So in that case, and I've done this before, it actually works really well. It's just you have to find that deal, which is the really tough part. And yes, that's not always easy, knowing a couple is separating, or perhaps it's just someone that's upsizing and then you rent out that property that they have. So the deals are very limited on this. It's hard to find. It's once in a blue moon that you'll find these. But when you do, just know that that's an option. You can buy it with no money down. The fifth and last option might not please everyone, especially if you're getting started and don't have any properties, it won't work for you. It's to refinance a property that you have. So just know that when you're refinancing a property, there's a few rules that apply. So let's say you have a property that's worth $800,000 in today's market. Well, you cannot refinance and go get $800,000 from that. So let's say you have an $800,000 property and you own $200,000 of it. The bank has a mortgage $600,000. So then there's the calculation that you have to make is 80% loan to value. So you're going to be able to go borrow up to 80%. So if you've paid down half the property, you own $400,000, the bank has $400,000. Well, in that case, you could actually go get a significant amount because you could get up to 80% as long as you qualify for it with the bank. The best way to check that is either with your bank directly or with your mortgage broker directly. So those are the 5 options to get zero down. Now, I know they're not as exciting as some things that you might see in the US or some things that you might see in other countries, because there's a lot of differences. Here in Canada is quite strict, but the real estate market is also really amazing. That's why we've never really had huge downturns in the market. All right, so we saw how to buy a property with no money down and why it's really important to do that to maximize your return on investment. And we also saw the 5 possible ways to do so here in Quebec. So now all you got to do is find that deal. Thanks for coming. If any of this information was helpful to you, or you got something interesting, or you found out a way that you could use, please subscribe and click that little bell button. That'll help me out a lot.